All right, hey Mike, so thank you for coming in. I'm glad we were able to make some pretty good progress initially on that range of motion and overall mobility in that ankle. I got 4 moves for you. 2 are for stretch, working on the mobility, 2 are for strength. Also, just a couple notes before we get into those moves. We talked about some other things. We talked about biking and Pelotoning. I think green light, go for it, get as vigorous as you want to get. The only thing I would maybe do the first few times out would just kind of set a kind of a smaller time frame, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm not sure what your long ones are going to look like eventually, but I would just say in the first time out, I wouldn't do a 45-minute hard ride, right? So, but again, I think the biking will only help your mobility and it will not overstress any of these areas. So green light for me there. Another thing I want you to just more I'm thinking about it, just because you're newly coming off of that non-weight bearing or that kind of, weaned out of non-weight bearing now into full weight bearing. We talked about balance, and you had a pretty good single leg stand. That's why we're going to make a balance move a little bit harder later. Whenever you can think of it, I would just stand on one leg. If you're waiting on somebody, you're washing your hands, you're waiting on the microwave to ding, just standing on that left foot, just kind of regaining a little bit of confidence. Plus, all those little muscles are working and kind of creating that new harmony down there a little bit. So that's not going to be too aggressive of weight bearing. It's not like, we're not doing that in a deep squat, and we're not doing a lot of repetition through that yet, but just standing on one leg, because I'm sure inherently, subconsciously, it's so much easier to go over to that right side because that's the one you trust. And that left one's just a little funky still. So this isn't necessarily rehab exercises. I honestly don't like to promote just exercise because so much of this just becomes lifestyle is really what gets you out of this. So bike whenever you can, and then stand on one leg whenever you can. And then the last thing is we talked about icing a little bit. Again, I know I just got your text that you iced after the session, and again, I would kind of keep that around again, just because the intensity on these tendons is going to go up a little bit here with this new rehab. So I just don't want it to get too far ahead of us. All right, our 4 moves. First priority was increasing that dorsiflexion. We did pretty good here. The way I want you to do that at home is with the chair. Again, doing this in this lunge position, it's more aggressive than just pulling it back actively or with some help. But it's more aggressive than that, but it's not so aggressive like we're doing this with a deep squat or anything like that. So hands are on, foot's on, and then just trying to get your knee past your toe. Again, I want you to think your angle here, I want you to think about going more forward to gain that stretch and not just clamping down. I don't want this to be a lunge where you're putting a lot of weight through that foot. I want it to be more just gliding forward. So good glide, you can hold for a few seconds and then come out of it and repeat. You can get depth. You can kind of get here where it's as deep as you want to go and then just kind of do some little pulses. It doesn't matter to me. Or just get here and hold. I really don't care. As long as you're spending some good time with that dorsiflexion stretch. The hope is that, I know you need to warm up a bit first. So maybe this is after a bike ride. Maybe this is after a lot of ankle circles and kind of that prep work you need to do. Because this is where we're actually gaining motion. So if you need to do a lot of warm up to get to this point, be my guest. If you get here and you just feel restriction, maybe warm it up a little bit first. Because we did have a lot better luck here after the ultrasound, after things got a little bit warm. But I would hit this. You could tell me you're doing this 10 times a day, and I'd still say, hey, can you get a few more in? You just can't do that enough as long as the intensity is so low. I want low intensity, but high frequency on pretty much all of these. All right, the second one, still a stretch, is going to be the seated inversion. So that's just crossing your leg, grabbing this foot, and then letting just your hand, it's only hands pressure, just pulling that guy up to the ceiling. Again, change your placement. You can pull from the heel, you can pull from midfoot, you can pull from the toe box. It's all good, man, as long as you're getting a little stretch on the outside. That's about as crazy as I want to get for our inversion stretching right now. Again, eventually, you can add bands and belts and ropes and standing ones are, a little more intense, but this is plenty right now. Just get to a good stretch, hold, long holds. Again, low intensity, but hold it for a little while. Repeat. You can also do the dorsiflexion, pull that guy back. I like that, but I think you'll just find you're going to get a lot more dorsiflexion stretch if you do it, with a little bit of weight under your belt. All right, so those two are your stretches. You can do those all day, every day. Can't do those enough. Into the strength, this is where the frequency will go down a little bit because they're strengthening exercises and we need just a touch of recovery, but I still think you could hit these a few times a day. First one we did was the wipers. Heck, I'm gonna show you. Again, placement matters. If you're doing this on a tile floor, use maybe some socks and you're fine. The idea is we're going side to side with that ankle, and then it's important to make sure that knee doesn't help. So just kind of lock that knee in a little bit, side to side. So again, I like a towel that kind of gives me something to, visually to work against. You don't have to, you can do it without and just rock back and forth. And you're not just going, this isn't just wishy-washy. All right, trying to get it all the way, max range of motion, eversion, max range of motion in, max range of motion, max range of motion. So we're strengthening and stretching at the same time. I like this one. It addresses the lateral movement, which you said yourself, been a little neglected. So we're just gonna introduce that, and hopefully next time we can bump that one up a little bit. So anywhere and everywhere, seated, boom, hitting that. Again, you can do it without holding the knee, but it tends to cheat a little bit. So especially on a tight ankle such as yours. So I love that one. Again, I don't really have a protocol there. I maybe hit it for 30 to 60 seconds, and you're good. As long as you're maximizing that range. But again, hopefully hit that a few times a day. And then the last one we're gonna do for strength is gonna be you're gonna get your blue pad out. And I really like these step overs. So again, the idea here being your left foot is going to stay on the pad, and then you're just working on unlocking, or think of it more heel toe, heel to toe, heel to toe. Just getting those mechanics back in this ankle, these walking mechanics. We talked about down the stairs. Now you always feel like you have to bail out of that dorsiflexion. Well, here I'm hoping you can stay engaged the whole time and no bailout. That's why we're doing this short pad here. Eventually, this turns into a steeper pad, and this is where you feel like I don't have it, I have to go. Well, we're gonna find a way. Next time, that's the goal, is to be able to do that without having to bail. So with this blue pad, go really slow and methodical, and like we talked about, maybe even pause for a little bit. Spending some time on a single leg here is ideal. You're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck balancing on this than you are on flat ground. But again, I still don't want you to not balance on flat ground if you have the time to do it so often. So again, here, maybe 20 or 30 step overs. Again, I'm not real picky on numbers. I just want this to be smooth. Because I know when you do it on your right foot, it's smooth. And we know when we do it left foot right now, things are still a little crazy. And that's fine, that's how they should be for you right now. But that'll help you smooth it out. I really like that one for just kind of general functionality, right? I have hiking on the back of my mind, I'm sure you do too. This is a good prepper for kind of some of that instability that you're gonna be getting. And we're gonna keep working on that. We're gonna keep throwing new things for that. So those are our 4 moves. Dorsiflexion into a chair or tabletop of some sort. Inversion via the hands, the windshield wipers, excuse me, and then some step overs / balance with your blue pad. Anything else if you want to throw in calf raises, you want to throw in, I think you could benefit, heck yeah, from some toe raising, getting those toes back this way, throw in some little squatting and things like that. I think it's, your ankle is a lot more capable than I think you're seeing right now. I know that talus scares the heck out of me and you both, but as far as the ligaments on the outside, the tendons on the outside, don't be terribly afraid of those right now. Everything feels pretty good and intact to me. Just tight and a little bit inflamed. Like I said, we made some progress there after the anti-inflammatory treatment. So I'm hoping that you can repeat that at home with some ice and just kind of keep it calmed down. I think that's all I got. Please don't be a stranger. Let me know if there's anything else I can address. But otherwise, we'll catch up in hopefully a couple weeks tops and make sure we're keep this party rolling. Again, week or 2, your call. I just know that with the hiking coming up, I want to make sure we don't get too far behind you. So, all right, man, that was fun. Take care. Bye.